Hi, I'm Alison. Welcome to Dream Chasers Adventures in Happiness, where my band of superhero guests and I share with you tales of daring do, life-changing journeys towards living our best lives. If you're after an injection of inspiration and ideas to live the life that you want and deserve, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
Hi there, and welcome to the show where we serve up conversation, concepts, and belief that it is entirely possible to create what you crave. If there's something stopping you from pursuing happiness, whatever that looks like to you from a career or lifestyle point of view, the stories and insights covered here are designed to help. Now, today I'm going to dig into the number one predictor of happiness, and that is the quality and quantity of our relationships. But at the same time, I'm going to delve into the mind-blowing link between our relationships and our health and longevity, because there genuinely is a link that's been proven scientifically by Harvard University. And I'm going to explore how to think about and intentionally build your squad so that you have a crack team of people that enhance your life in the very best ways, mentally, emotionally, and physiologically. This is a really cool topic. I'm really passionate about this, so let's get into it. So to kick things off, let's do a quick gut check. How are your relationships feeling at the moment? And, I don't mean with this, did you answer your WhatsApp messages today, or have you booked that overdue coffee with so-and-so? What I'm really getting at, what I really mean is, how connected do you feel? Like, who really gets you? Who are your people? Now, I'm asking this because I stumbled on something last year that completely stopped me in my tracks. I was listening to a podcast with a chap called Dr. Robert Waldinger. And this guy is a psychiatrist. He's a Zen priest, of all things. And he's also a Harvard professor who is the current director of the world's longest study on happiness and what makes a good life. Now, he was talking about this study, which has been running for 86 years. It started back in 1938, and they followed deliberately two very different groups of young men. They took one group that were Harvard undergrads from very privileged backgrounds, and the other group were a bunch of boys out of Boston's sort of poorest families. And this study is still going today. They are tracking these people's kids, and they widened it out to include spouses. And so it's an ongoing study. But the whole thing was geared to answer one simple but kind of massive question. And that is, what helps us thrive? They wanted to see the difference between rich and poor to some extent, and to just really try and understand what those drivers were for genuine happiness. Now, the findings of this 86-year-long study really floored me. There were two key findings. The first is that the number one predictor of a happy life, it's not wealth, it's not fame, it's not abs of steel, it's relationships. Not just having them, but the quality of those relationships. So the warmer, more connected, and more genuine your relationships, the happier you'll be. Now, you might be thinking at this point, okay, well, Alison, this is not exactly news to me. It seems fairly obvious. But here's the second huge finding. What this relationship has found is that what this research has found is that having these kinds of relationships doesn't just make us happier, they literally keep us healthier. Like live longer and dodge disease kind of healthy. So those in the study who had strong, loving relationships lived years longer than those who were isolated or stuck in conflict, or who just didn't have those kinds of relationships. Those people that did stayed mentally sharper, they avoided chronic diseases, and they aged more gracefully. So they didn't develop the diseases of aging as soon, if they developed them at all, compared to those who were more isolated or who didn't really care about or prioritise relationships. Now, the research data out of Harvard has conclusively proved that our relationships affect our bodies and shape our physiology. So in layman's terms, good relationships make it less likely that we'll develop coronary heart disease or type 2 diabetes or cancer. Now, this absolutely blew my mind because, and I was sort of questioning, well, why? Why does really good relationships and a lot of them how can it physically affect our health? But the connection, it comes because the connection that comes from relationships protects us from stress. So if we think about that, relationships act as a physiological stress regulator, if you like. So when we feel safe and loved and understood, our bodies literally function better. So, your immune system, your heart, your brain, they all benefit. But on the flip side, loneliness or kind of a lack of relationships can keep us in a constant low-level fight or flight mode. So stress hormones stay high, inflammation creeps in, and illness follows. So this isn't just fluffy self-help, it's hard science. Relationships equal life support. Now, with that in mind, today I wanted to get you really thinking about your squad. So the people that you surround yourself with and spend your time with, particularly through the lens of what actually makes a good squad member. Because this isn't just about having common interests, it's about shared values and character and a sense of purpose-driven alignment. Now, to be more explicit and a bit more down to earth in language, these are the kinds of people who cheer you on without competing in a negative way. They are the people that celebrate your weirdness rather than trying to sand it down or iron it out altogether. They are people who stretch you but never make you shrink, and who are rooted in integrity and compassion, and who ultimately make you feel more you, not less. Now, motivational speaker Jim Rohn famously suggested that we are the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. So their habits, attitudes, and energy, that stuff rubs off. So who are your 5 people today, and what kind of impact are they having on you? Do they energize or exhaust you? Do they light you up or dim you down? Do they help you feel at home in yourself or keep you performing a role? Because if happiness, health, and actual lifespan depend on the quality of our relationships, then who we surround ourselves with isn't just a lifestyle choice, it's everything. So what makes a good squad? Now, I like to think of it like this, a kind of a good team of different players. And I've given them all fun names, just because why not? So I think everybody on their squad needs the cheerleader, and that is somebody that believes in you, particularly when you don't. Someone who always sees your potential, even when you are face down in a metaphorical ditch, feeling like the world is against you and you can't do it. So who's your cheerleader, if you have one? Then there's the truth teller. Somebody who calls you out with love, who doesn't let you shrink, who says the hard stuff when you need to hear it. My late husband was absolutely in this category. Didn't always love it, but he was right. And so who's your truth teller? There's also the fellow rebel. These are people who are walking potentially a similar path to you, that you can bounce ideas off and compare notes with and celebrate those tiny wins when nobody else really gets it. So who's your fellow rebel? Then there is the joy bringer, the person that reminds you ultimately to play, because that's also super important. Who will drag you out dancing when you are spiraling? Who is your unapologetic source of fun and entertainment and lightness? So who's your joy bringer? And then finally, who's your wise owl? Maybe this might be a mentor or a friend who's just seen more life, or somebody that you just feel brings wisdom and a new and a fresh and a different perspective. These people will keep you grounded, and they will help you zoom out when you are totally stuck in the weeds. So you might already have people within your squad who tick a number of these boxes, or there might be others that might not be in your life yet. And that's fine. This isn't about, having the perfect friend roster. It's about making sure that someone is in your corner and that you're showing up in theirs too. So here's my invitation for you today. I'm inviting you to do a mini relationship review this week. Take just 5 minutes and ask yourself these questions. Who really lights me up? Who do I need to spend more time with? Who do I want to spend more time with? Who do I need firmer boundaries with? This is an important one. Or who do I maybe need a distance from? That's also another important one. Where am I craving more depth or connection? And who do I wish I knew that maybe I haven't reached out to yet? Maybe there's somebody from afar that you've admired that you would like to have a deeper relationship with, or somebody right under your nose that you'd like to connect with. So ask yourself those questions and then pick one small action. And what I'm talking about here is send a message, make a phone call, ask for a coffee, tell somebody what they mean to you. And if you're craving new connections that aren't currently in your life, get curious. Maybe say yes to that event or have a go at joining that community. Perhaps start a book club or create, ultimately aim to create what you can't find. So let this be the week that you start literally curating your crew intentionally, lovingly, and courageously. Now, to help you with this exercise, I've created a mini relationship review worksheet that you can download for free. The link to it is in the show notes on my website. So give it a go and just reflect on and see what you learn. And then let me leave you with this thought. We spend so much energy worrying about our diet, our step count, our exercise routine, or telling ourselves we should be doing more of all of those things. But what if the most powerful thing that we could do for our health and happiness was simply prioritizing our people? Checking in, opening up, laughing more, loving better, choosing connection even when it feels vulnerable. Because it turns out that the good life, it's in the relationships that we build and nurture. It's in the squad we choose. So who's on your team? And how can you love them better today? If you're looking for a sign to reconnect or to reach out or to make that friendship or connection more intentional, this is it. Because your best, happiest, healthiest life, it starts there. So that's it for this episode. I really hope it's got you mulling over your own squad and thinking about how to enhance yours for your ultimate health as well as happiness. And if you know someone, maybe somebody on your squad who might benefit from listening to this episode, please do share it. And if you feel so minded, subscribe to the show on your favourite podcast app or give it a review. And until next time, just know that I believe in you and in your ability to intentionally choose and nurture the relationships that will amp up your happiness quota as well as your health. You deserve people who see you, who love you as you are, and who support who you're becoming. So go do your thing.
Thank you for listening today. I hope our time together has got you thinking about your own adventure in happiness. So please do get in touch. I'd love to hear more about your story. And why not join our Dream Chasers Unite community? There is nothing better than an adventure shared. Until next time, be brave and go create what you crave.